Hello, my name is Brian. I've always dreamed of building a family adventure rig. After seeing countless videos and blogs on others doing it, I figured I could try my luck and give it a shot. My Jeep Wrangler just wasn't cutting anymore for my family of 4, our gear, and dogs. I wanted something classic that had power to tow, easy to work on, and could hold the whole family. So I did exactly what you aren't supposed to do. I bit off more than I could chew. I bought 2 vehicles and thought I could somehow meld them together with a body swap using my basic building skills. So follow along while I try to tackle this project and complete it on a shoestring budget in my tiny garage.
Oh God, I got a lot to go.
Melding classic with modern can sometimes be a challenge, especially with those very critical eyes looking at your project. But I came up with this ASHTRAY USB idea and thought it met what I wanted, so that when someone looked inside the vehicle, it would look more or less original, yet have something that was functional for my family to use. Obviously, we don't smoke, but we certainly use lots of USB products, and this was an option to be able to have one on both sides for my kids to access so that they could power their devices. Creating a resto modification is a unique approach because everybody has an opinion about how they want a old vehicle to look. And I didn't want a vehicle that we kept in our garage and said, man, that sure does look cool, but never take it out. I wanted something that was usable, that we could take out and have modern conveniences. This approach will always require a compromise between vintage and modern. I lucked out when I bought my wagons because the 49 and the 53 combined together had enough parts for me to be able to put one vehicle together. In this case, I needed to recreate the interior panels. They had all completely fallen apart, but I had puzzle pieces that I was able to put together in order to make templates in order to cut it out 1/4 inch plywood. I then took that plywood and made the appropriate holes, and it was a very tedious process to get these to fit properly because I had to walk in between the vehicle and my sanding table at least 20 times for each panel just to get them to fit properly. Once it was completed, I was very excited. That shampoo, rinse, repeat process was painful at best. Rather than paint the panels, I decided to go with a gray stain so that the grain of the wood would come through. I wasn't 100% happy with the result of this. Because of that, I decided to order some pinstriping with a orange, red, and yellow combo. It wasn't until later that I figured out this was like a TRD, Toyota Racing Development colors, but I thought that they turned out well. I put it in. The pinstriping may even go on the exterior of the vehicle too, as I'm considering having it be a cement gray. My daughter always wants to help work on the wagon, and I thought this was an easy way for her to be a part of the creation process. She was thrilled with the result, and so was I. I covered the panel in a 2-part clear epoxy. The end result came with a glass finish that I really liked. The edges I still need to work on, but it's getting there. My front and rear seats are from a 2016 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor. The rear seats are removed from these cars and sold on the secondhand market, which is how I picked them up. I wanted something that was affordable and would look more or less like a vintage seat from 10 feet or so. And I think I was able to accomplish that. The rub was that I would have to cut into the wheel wells in order to make room for the second seat. Making modifications to a 70-plus-year-old vintage vehicle can really divide people. It's the Marvel versus DC, Toyota versus Jeep, build it or buy it discussion, and it really, at the end of the day, is up to me because that's just what worked for me and fit into my budget and what I wanted to do. I certainly wasn't going to walk away from this project when I just came to this one hiccup. I think documenting one's mistakes on YouTube is helpful so that others don't do it. I made so many attempts at measuring before I made the cuts, and after I measured and measured and measured and measured and then cut, I realized I made a mistake, and it was wildly frustrating. But there wasn't a lot I could do about it, so when I ended up making the cardboard cutouts for what I had to build, I decided that we were going to fix it as we went along. To transfer the design from the cardboard to metal, I used a washer and then ran the marker on the interior of the washer to give me a 1/4 inch spacing so that when I cut it, I would have a little bit of wiggle room while placing it in. With the design transferred to metal, I then cut out the shape using a cutoff wheel. Pretty easy process. Anybody could do this. You just need an angle grinder and then obviously a cutting disc. After this, I used a borrowed brake in order to bend the metal in both places so that it could be put into the wheel well. I am a horrific welder, and I'm glad that I sped this up so that you couldn't see how terrible my skills were. I was able to get it eventually welded properly in the corner and then grind it down to make it sort of look good. The follow-on one I actually had Joe do because I was so embarrassed by my welds. Again, this is a challenging skill and something I need to improve on. This is my friend Joe, who was kind enough to come over and help me weld in the metal cutouts that I created. The process of doing this actually took several hours. The thin metal of a 70-year-old vehicle really was quick to burn through while you're trying to weld in new metal. So the long story short was it took a long time to get this right. Once both cutouts were welded into place, I was able to place the seats back into the wagon, and I was really happy with the result. I actually had hired someone to weld the brackets on the bottom of these seats. It was just not something I wanted to fool around with. The brackets so that they could lay flat, and then he came up with this clever design of clipping the front seat into an existing belt buckle, and I really liked how this all turned out. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. As I make more progress, I'll be sure to make more episodes.